All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's Monday, February 12th. It's your pre-market review. We are gonna make sure everything is right here before we get started. And all right, cool. All right, welcome. As I said, the pre-market sessions are live for everybody on YouTube. So please make sure to go there or share that, share my tweet. Just make sure everybody can see that we are doing that. That'd be super nice. But we're gonna get started here. ES on Friday broke above 50.20, a level which we were looking at as our key level on Friday, and stopped right under this 50.50. So the overnight session so far has been fairly, I guess it's been in a very small range between 50.38 and 50.46. So, what could happen? Well, I think a few things could happen. The one thing we got to keep in mind is that we have CPI tomorrow on Tuesday, and with that comes the chance of us, chopping into it after such a big move, right? That's one. That's probably like the most likely outcome. There's always the option where we, as we are breaking out, we continue. So day two continuation play here is something to look for above 50.50. I do think it's going to be harder. Now, if you cannot hold 50.38, which is the overnight lows, I'm expecting us to push lower and push lower towards that 50.20, right? 50.20 is now key. It's where we broke up out of on Friday. So, if there were two levels I would kind of call out today, it would be 50.38 and 50.20. Keep 50.50 in mind. That's a day two continuation, higher towards 50.75. I doubt it will happen, but always open for anything really. So, but 50.38 is a good one, 50.20 is a good one, and then eventually 5,000. As far as SPX, 5,000 is important, right? It's a level that we, I think, spent 2 days under after testing it, and then pushed above on Friday all the way into the high of 50.30. So this 50.30 now is important. I do have a 50.26.65. That's my resistance level, which we closed below, just about there on Friday. So for SPX, similar kind of thing here. If you cannot hold 50.20.22, that's the POC from Friday, I think we could revisit the value area low around 5,010 and then 5,000 proper. Anything below 5,000, I would be a little bit more cautious. With longs, let the market do what it needs, figure it out, and then we'll see where to go long. The one, I guess, high risk reward area to go long, for me at least, would be 49.80. Right? Because if we get under 59.80, it could get a little dicey. So you have a pretty good stop there. But as long as we're holding above 5,000, I think we're good. It's buy dips until then. Otherwise, it could be a little harder to get the dips at the right spot. All right. QQQ also kind of fairly similar, right? Pretty, I'm not gonna say extended, but obviously trending higher here. And I'm not saying extended because we had a fair amount of digestion here before putting in 3 days, and I don't think 3 days is very extended. But with all that said, we are pretty far away from the 9-day moving average. If there is one level I would watch for today, it would be 434.45 and then 430. 430 is like the SPX 5,000 needs to hold. SMH is very, very strong. We do have NVIDIA earnings coming up next week. And so, this I think will continue to be strong until then, I believe. But SMH strong here. Hold of 204 could move towards 210 before NVIDIA earnings. So just something to keep an eye on. And lastly here, IWM, putting in a really nice couple of days here, breaking out of this trend, back testing it, holding the 50-day moving average, and now pushing higher. Anything above 200 for me is good. You'll have better breadth in the market if we're above 200. If you have IWM, naturally, you'll have more names moving higher, and so breadth it will be not heightened, but it will be more positive, right? As you have more names moving higher, or more names are positive than negative. And so hold of 200, 202 could come. 202, if you cannot test it and we back test 200, that needs to hold. Otherwise, we can get a little bit of a dip into 196. So just we'll watch that. Good morning, Steve and Rick. Hope you guys are doing well. So I'm expecting a little bit of a range, a little bit of a two-way trading, but we'll keep an eye on IWM here. All right, as far as individual names, I have a list in the watch list team. Make sure to go through those. There are not a whole lot of them, but I do like Amazon above 175. There was a headline regarding Bezos selling 12 million shares for about 2 billion. So, I mean, on the onset, that's kind of negative, but if he's done selling and we're about to break out here, it's not a bad place to be. There are two plays for this: 175 break into 177.61, and the second would be a back test. Like, I'd love a 170, 170 back test hold and then push back towards 175, perhaps with 175 calls. So I'm liking that because on Friday that break we called it live. It's just very quick. So perhaps there are buyers here waiting for that little dip, and if it holds, you'll have momentum pushing us even higher. So that's one. The second one I'm liking here is Meta 475, but we're still a little far away. But if we can have a nice green day today, I think it could set up tomorrow. So we'll watch that Meta. I think Google had a pretty good day yesterday, or Friday rather. With some volume pushing into this gap here above 146 into 148, close above 148. Now you have this 150 here that is worth keeping an eye on. I have a few alerts here just in case. But for this one, when it starts doing this so-called one-time framing up, you just watch that previous day high break, and then you take advantage of that, right? Until that stops, there's no reason to not think this will push higher. This has been a little bit of a laggard as well after earnings moving lower, and so now it's finally looking a little bit better. Another name that's looking pretty good and still fairly strong here is Microsoft. And, sure, this one could push higher. I do think a 415 backtest, 416, something like that would be a good thing. And it would be something I would be interested in as well. So as you can see, there's a theme here where I would like to see what the market does. And I know which names to kind of focus on those dip buys if we do get them. I thought IBM did a pretty good job on Friday, putting in two really nice days here in a row, so Thursday, Friday. And so it's finally kind of starting to show some life here. Okay, we've been talking about this 188 as being a super important low. Once we get above that, I think we can move towards the highs here. I still think that as long as we hold 185, if we do get 185 back test, I'm going to add an alert here. I'm interested in perhaps taking some longer term calls, maybe March or April on this one. So I'll be curious because nothing has changed, right? Earnings were great. What's happening now is just the market kind of figuring what the next step is. I still think long term IBM is a pretty good stock. It's been looking pretty good, and numbers are there, and I like the momentum as of late in this name. If you can see it here, I mean, it's fantastic. Okay, so we're getting something, like we got here after this. Now we're getting it again here. So digestion, that's it. That's all it is, nothing more. All right, we do have DDOG earnings coming up on Tuesday, tomorrow. And so I'll be interested in watching these software names. right? Friday got sold into a little bit. That 138 got sold into a bit. And so I'll be curious to know to see what happens here. D-Dog, I think, could trade above 150 easily after earnings. And then you would want to watch Snow, right? Snow is important to watch as it could catch a little more of that momentum from D-Dog. And so Snow 256 could come by the end of the week if D-Dog does well. Earnings for Snow is not until the end of February. So if D-Dog does well, I think Snow could be something to look at over the next couple of weeks, right? So this has been a really nice stock as of late. Obviously, you have MDB as well, which I think is a little more extended, a little harder for me to see here, but this one is obviously moving really nicely. Now, let's get back into semis here. NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA has earnings on the 21st, and it has been showing some relative strength. It has been kind of taking breathers in between, but on Friday, was very, very strong. We traded that 715 call. We are still in 750 calls expiring this week. Which it's looking like it's gapping up just a tad here. I'd be interested in perhaps watching a roll from the 750 into something else for an earnings lotto now that we have some profits from the previous from this previous strike rather. So we'll watch that. We'll see, if we get a pullback where it gets to. If we don't get a pullback, maybe we'll trade some, we'll scalp it or just have to see. But with this comes SMCI and NVIDIA have they've been moving in tandem. SMCI has, it's been riding this 9-day moving average really nicely. And, I rather play NVIDIA than SMCI, but we've been calling it SMCI as it's been pushing. So this one is looking pretty good. You do have players like LRCX looking pretty good on Friday, pushed really nicely. Beautiful kind of move here. And, this one looks like it could go to 1,000 soon. Another one to look for is Avgo. Avgo has yet to break out similar ways as LRCX. So watch this one as well. All right, let's get into some cybersecurity here. So Crowd got sold into a little bit on Friday, close 2% up, but, still not the best looking candle. Looks a little bit of a reversal candle. So what you want to see today is a confident move higher to basically null this move here to give buyers confidence for the next week or so. So let's see how it does, Crowd. In the same space, you have PNW, right? Palo Alto looking pretty good here. Looks a little better than Crowd, I would say. And then we have ZS, a name that we've, we called out this 246 break and moved all the way into 259. So let's see what it does here, if it breaks above 259 or not. Okay, let's see if it pushes above 259 and moves towards 265, or if you get a back test of 246, right? So always add alerts so you can get alerted when it's getting back tested, because that's a good trade perhaps as well. All right, let's go to low. We just have a few names here left. Lowe's, I'm liking. Has an upgrade. JP Morgan upgrades Lowe's to overweight from neutral. Raises PT 265 from 210. So what I'm liking about this one is that it's been consolidating for a real nice for a while here. And it's been sold into a couple times, but got bought up. So we have a double bottom here with a push above this trend line. And then we're at this point here, we're back to this bounce area. This is previous bounce area, which we broke down from. If you can break above this 223, which we did overnight, if you can do that and hold, we could push these highs, right? 228, 230 plus. So for this one, the plan today would be to look for two different plays. 227 break higher, or you get a little pullback into 223.77. That could be a better play. Second one would be HD, right? Home Depot. So the idea with the Lowe's one was, I think JP Morgan said that now that they're expecting rates to fall, there will be more home purchases and there will be more business for Lowe's. So that kind of makes sense. Just theoretically, that makes sense to me. So let's just, we'll keep an eye on this one. Let's go to Tesla just because you just mentioned it, Steve. Tesla's still hard for me, okay? I think it's at that point where it could get some momentum, right? It could get some momentum, but is it a good trade, right? Is it a good trade? I don't think it's a good trade yet. I think it's a good trade above 207. I think that's the best trade, but you do have this gap, and that gap could be filled. So it's still a trade above 196. So let's see if we get a little bit, if 189.55 holds today, tomorrow, we could push towards the 196 end of the week. Shop has earnings this week. Okay, Shop has earnings on Tuesday. So, and it's been quite of a run here. So I would not like to chase this one, but worth keeping in mind, right? Shop, then you look at Meli. Meli, Mercado Libre, is looking pretty good in my opinion. I've been talking about this 1800 for a while. If Shop does well, we have earnings coming up. It's a different stock, it's a different market, but could add some headwind to this, right? You can draw some trend lines here as well, right? Nice little. It's been spending some time here, looking pretty good. So I mean, I think this one is moving higher. If you want to buy 2,000 calls, maybe I don't know. But something worth watching here. Mercado Libre. I think this one could open 1850 if Shop does well. With that comes Amazon, right? You have Shop, you have Amazon, you have Etsy, all within the same kind of e-commerce space that will get affected, depending on what happens with Shop. I think Shop will do okay. It's just a hunch, nothing more than that. But I think Etsy is looking a little bit better here. I think Etsy is more of a stock commons play. It also has earnings coming up. So that's your little risk. But it's testing this 200 again. It hasn't tested it in a while here since December. So beautiful breakout on Friday. Nice little cup and handle kind of action here. So Amazon, Etsy, Mercado Libre, all of those are looking pretty good. Netflix. I think Netflix is a name to look at over the next I want to say in the next week or two, I think we should be able to get a momentum move higher in Netflix. I do like it higher up. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but as long as we're here, it's just gonna kind of bounce in between these two lines. If we can get back above 565, 570, I think we get a little bit more of a little more of a momentum move that we could trade. All right. So yeah, that's it. I think does anybody have any questions? Anybody on YouTube? We have 500 people watching on YouTube. Joking. If anybody has questions, team, feel free to post questions or charts if you wanted to look at something. I've probably missed a few, but AMD, I think needs a little more work, but ELF is looking pretty good. Watch for day 2 here. ELF earnings out of the way on this one. Monday had earnings. Mindy, Monday. It's down, right? So this one, just leave it alone. Coin, looking pretty good. Watch that 50-day moving average. Watch above Friday highs. That could be something to watch for. Yeah, Arsha, I like that 518. I mean, I have a 520, 50-20. Yours is 50-18. I have that 50-20. If that holds, that's my key level. We could push higher. It would be wonderful to get a break of 5,000, test 4,994-ish, and then break back above. All right, I'm gonna shut down this live stream because I think we're done here. We're gonna get back to just members only. Thanks everybody for chiming in on YouTube.